let me introduce Austin. He's a midlife poet, author, and transformational mentor who walked away from a successful Fortune 500 career to answer the call of his soul. Known for his poetic presence and deeply moving storytelling, Austin helps others reconnect with their inner peace and purpose through mindfulness, reflection, and authentic self expression. I have no idea what Austin is going to talk about, but I know it's going to be very powerful and transformational. Welcome, Austin.
Thank you so much. I don't know what I'm going to talk about either. So isn't this exciting?
Yes?
We're going to co-create today. I believe in co-creation. I'm the speaker, but your energy, even though we're virtual, is pouring into this space. How many of you feel what I'm saying here? And I'm going to be real and in the moment. I had to pivot. I had traffic. I'm going to record a song. I was going to be at a location, but I could fight, right? When things happen unexpectedly, this is real. We can get into that state of resistance. This shouldn't be happening. I have to get there. But the key is to feel that energy and be able to realign, to resonate with what's real and in the moment. So now I have this beautiful experience that's unexpected. I'm literally, and maybe we'll get some time, I'm literally behind the Philadelphia Museum of Art. How many of you have seen the movie Rocky? Any of you have seen the movie Rocky with Sylvester Stallone? I'm behind that building. I can see it. So maybe we'll, if we get some time, I'll share that with you or share a picture later. And I can see the cherry blossoms forming on the tree, but there's this gray and brown, right? There's the greens of spring that are pushing out these browns and grays of winter in real time. And April's been an interesting month. And we know that based on today's talk with Melissa, how beautiful did she lay out not only the microcosm of the season, but the macro of the shift. And I would offer that we are in the shift. But being in this space today, we are raising our vibration and our consciousness. And then hearing from Christine talk about her story and her mission and how important is it as we resonate with each other and we connect and we become more aware, how important is our nutrition at a cellular level. And so what I want to do right now, I'm going to pause. I'm going to ask you to pause. And I'm just doing this in the moment. And I want you to close your eyes. Just put your hand on your heart. And I want to encourage you to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. So in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then again, and let your belly expand and your lungs fill to capacity. And as you're breathing, just imagine that energy of air is moving through your heart and it's pushing out energetically to every cell in your body. This powerhouse that Melissa talked about is moving out energetically to every cell. Blood is flowing. Love is moving through your body, reaching the small places, the smallest undetectable areas in your body are being touched. And I want you to think about a message maybe your heart is telling you in this moment. It could be a subtle message. It could be really subtle. Maybe seems strange. It could be obvious and relevant. And it could be anything that your heart is communicating to you. It could be about today. It could be from 10 years ago. It could be a vision. Just resonate with that message. What message is your heart communicating? What is resonating in this space today? Feel that calm. And just let that marinate for a moment. Take a big inhale through your nose. Exhale through the mouth. And when you're ready, flutter your eyes open, feeling refreshed, knowing that there's miraculous things happening in this moment that are below the level of your conscious awareness, or perhaps above the level of your conscious awareness. And what I want to do is type in the chat what message. It could have been a word, it could have been a message, if you want. If it's private and it's for you, keep it to yourself. If you feel like you want to share it, share it. And what we'll do, Olga, is we can get maybe 2 people to come on, and it needs to be in a short container, because of time. So perhaps like 30 seconds to a minute tops of a message that maybe somebody received that they want to share.
Winnie, laser share.
Okay, the thing that came to me is always the same. To never lose my connection and always stay in close attachment with my heart. Like it's always my heart is my compass. That's what
Beautiful.
came to me.
So you're always your heart. So you connected with your heart. And I love that metaphor of the heart as the compass. Thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. Okay, one more.
Dr. Karen.
I'm laying in bed. Hi, Austin. I just saw
Hi.
your number. That was funny. I am a light worker. I transmute pain for people on the planet, and I'm holding the light.
I love that, transmute pain. And to be aware that when you transmute pain, sometimes we feel that pain of other people, right? We can't, we want to vibe high. I vibe high. We're feeling that today. We're feeling that expansiveness, right? We can just embrace that. But we also want to be aware that when we go off this Zoom call, that family member or that friend, we all have these people, right? And they show up and you're like, wait a second, I just got off this incredible call and now you're bringing me down, right? So there's your opportunity, right? Because we can resist that. And I have people in my life that test me this morning, right? So what do? Do I fight it and resist it because I'm in this, I'm a light worker and I'm in this positive space? But guess what? Polarity is always at play. And you're the one that sometimes, that messy person, I say messy, they're in a state of mess, show up. And like Christine said earlier, love on those people that test you, because perhaps something inside of them died and they're feeling resentful that you have it, but they don't know how to express it. They don't know how to reach out. They're shameful. So being able to, you're going to feel, you're a human, right? We're all going to feel. But if we can feel, then we can calibrate, what does this moment need from me right now? I mean, that's a great question. What is this moment asking of me right now? And the moment you ask that, and you don't even have to know the answers. Like this talk today is completely almost completely unplanned. But I trust the intuition. I trust my heart. I trust to know that I'm going to know when I don't know. Right. And my message, really, I didn't open up with this, but it's pause and breathe, because in almost any situation, almost any, you can excuse yourself and go pause and breathe. Unless there's a saber tooth, even when there's a tiger in front of you, you can kind of go and then figure out what you're going to do. Right. But that pause and breathe, because a lot of us are in emotional survival mode. Because the physical survival mode is, I mean, how relevant is that? But we're in psychological survival mode because of harsh judgment of others. The harsh judgment of others can seep into the harsh judgment of ourselves. And then our voice, right, is really just a disguise for some other voice that we heard growing up. So now that voice is the harsh judgment on yourself. And can you become aware and say, when that voice comes up, go, okay, there you are. What are you trying to communicate? Are you protecting me? So now you have the ability to hear it, but not be reactive to it. You're not a victim to it anymore. You can stand in the gap. You can pause and breathe from your own mind. And then you can smile, connect to your heart, and just say, and what now? What resonates with me now? And then when you move from that space and you live in that space more, because it's funny, because I feel like for me, it's when I embrace all the stuff that I never wanted to embrace, right? There's this fear. Well, if I let that in and I embrace it, it's like the shadow work. Well, then it's going to make me worse. No, it liberates you. So the quicker you can embrace and align with whatever's happening in your life, it shortens the process, but you're not trying to shorten the process. That's kind of the fruit of you fully embracing. So my mission, I've been on, thank you for having me on this call, Olga, Diane. I know she's in Florida, and then Sandra's doing the behind the scenes. So I just want to thank you for doing all the work to make this possible and to be able to co-create the space together. I like to say, not that this just I don't like categories, but I use them because we need to understand. So my mom she was depressed, waiting for a man to save her, lots of emotional stuff growing up. I call it, in the world, maybe a little toxic femininity. My dad was masculine femininity, Vietnam veteran, soldier, battled with alcohol. And here's why I'm passionate. My dad loved music. He was passionate about music. My dad would come up with words that I don't know where they came from. He went to high school, never went to college. I'm a college dropout, so yay. But I thought about the cemetery. And not to be morbid, this is actually a good thing. And I thought about all the unmanifested dreams. I'm gonna share something with you. I wrote this. This was not planned, by the way, but it's just kind of coming through. So I'm sharing that with you because I become a poet and a musician, singer-songwriter, in the midst of all this. And it's inexplicable to me. And I call them Seeds of Infinitude, which is the name of the poetry book. Seeds of Infinitude. And you all have seeds in you, and some are known and some are unknown. And let me tell you, the unknown are so exciting when you start to you start to align and move in the direction of your heart and soul. You have no idea what's going to wake up, but it's really exciting. It's really exciting, and it's transformational, and it's going to surprise you. And I had a conversation with my brother today because we both kind of came from similar backgrounds about, it's not that you weren't supposed to have trauma. It's that you're the one that's supposed to be awakened from the trauma. And everything like that I've gone through, I've realized I had trauma. I had childhood trauma. I had an adult trauma. I thought my life was over. I said that to myself. It's over. But it caused me to grow later. But through the grace of God and some people that stepped up in my life, I was able to not be over, to be able to be here with today and share the gift. Unmanifested dreams and potential, unmanifested dreams and potential, unrequited love and phone calls, buried in the ground, sealed in eternity. But a life lived with immeasurable moments of experience and emotion linger. So my dad's no longer here. He's gone physically, but there's an essence that's left. And as I become awakened, I can overcome the trauma and tap into the gifts that my parents gave me and brought and say, I didn't get the parents I wanted. I got the parents I needed. I didn't get the parents I wanted. I got the parents I needed. And now I can be grateful and I can grow old in a state of graceful gratitude, knowing that everything is moving in perfect synchronicity, even when my humanness gets in the way. So I talk about poetry, and I say, come with me to where the simple things in life become profound and the profound things become simple. So I'm going to share a couple poems with you. And if we have time, I'll play a song for you if we have time. So this is something I just wrote the other day, and I've shared it with a couple people. So you're getting it for the first time here. It's called Integrated Yet Set Apart. Integrated Yet Set Apart. When the road disappears and dreams dissolve, I face new fears, questioning my resolve. Staring through the window pane, I grapple with confusion. Puddles ripple in the April rain. It all seems like an illusion. Sky turning gray to white, the coffee shop now full of chatter. In a trice, I surrender the inner fight, clarifying what matters. Led by my head, forgot my heart and soul. Let the dead bury their dead. I awaken to my true role. Integrated, yet set apart. Guided by spirit, living from soul and heart. Integrated, yet set apart. Guided by spirit, living from soul and heart. So I'm going to read one more, and then I'm going to pause and check in on the time and see if there's any shares that we can highlight. This was another just random thing, but I think after hearing Melissa, I think this will resonate. And in the quiet morn, I retake my body's form. I feel my chest rise and fall as I trace the inhale and exhale. My formless spirit inhabits the animal of my physical being. Breath seems to buoy my physical and spiritual as vibration moves through and from me. So its breath seems to buoy my physical and spiritual, allowing vibrations to move through and from me. Inner coherence creates cellular resonance, producing inner peace. The world changes. Inner coherence creates cellular resonance, producing inner peace, and the world changes. So I'm going to just pause for a moment and just check in with Olga here and see how we're doing on time, and if there's any shares like in the chat that you want to hit, and we'll go from there.
We are good on time, so we have time for more poems or songs. And do you have any shares? Do you have any questions for Austin? I would like to share actually. One thing that resonated with me is that we got the parents that we needed. And I attended the workshop of Raymond Aron once, and he said, while we're up there choosing our parents, we know what life lessons we need to learn on this earth. And that's why we choose our parents, we choose our siblings, we choose our environment. We actually choose the majority of hard stuff that is going to come our way. And now when we are down here on earth, what do we do with that? And we can go into the victimhood. And I was doing that for many, many years. guilty of charged, of course, or we can just embrace all these challenges, learn our life lessons, and move on, like victims, right? Christine
Beautiful.
and Melissa, you were talking about that a lot.
Yeah.
And I know you cannot just make a shift overnight. Not going to happen, at least for me. And it's always a battle, right? Where do you end up? Are you ending up a victor, or are you ended up a victim, right? And then it takes time. So awareness is key, but then forgiving yourself for not being the victor right away, right? For taking some time. Be very grateful for what's coming your way, and it's lots of lessons, lots of stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Olga.
Sandra?
So what I would like to, that quote or that thought that you said in terms of we choose our parents, and it's part of the life lesson. For me, I was traveling last week this time, and I was in a airport lounge, and there was a book. I saw it on the floor, didn't trouble it because I thought it might have belonged to someone else. Then someone effectively put it under my nose, for want of a better word, and it said there was a stamp on it, a little sticky note on it that said, "For you, then pass it on." So that intrigued, and I thought, okay, what is it? And it's very similar to what you're saying there in terms of the choices that we made in coming down here, and what we have the ability to do. But it just intrigued me, the fact that it was from a self-help. I didn't manage to read all of it because I was about to check in, but I was able to read enough that resonated with a lot of what you've said so far, Austin, and what has been said by Christine and by Melissa. So if you again think serendipity, we're here for a reason, and there is a purpose why we are all here at this moment in time, and there is a work for all of us to be done.
Amen to that. Thank you for your share. Appreciate that. Yeah. And I just go back to what I started with. I think being able to align with this moment, being able to align with this moment, your breath buoying you from the physical and the spiritual, allowing you to be here in this moment, experience what's happening. I mean, it's a beautiful gift. So,
Miranda?
Thank you. Austin, good to hear you again.
good to see you again.
Wonderful. I want to ask your support to this concern that I have. And it's really, how can persons pass their past in terms of the hurt experience, especially with parents? Yeah, because there was a poem I learned years ago that says, "Because of you, I am." And it's, if there wasn't another Calypso song, if there wasn't a dear mama or a dear papa, you could not be here. And it bothers me, the depth of hurt that children carry, no matter what it is. And so I'm asking, is there something you could offer us this morning to help us, whether for ourselves or to take it, because you're always receiving for self and to be equipped for the other?
Yeah. No, I appreciate this question. It's a deep, wide question, but I can speak for my trauma, and we can also talk about the collective pain body, the collective. We were talking about the fourth turning today, and to understand that we are all connected. We've heard that before, but I don't think we're fully aware of the connectedness. And we don't, even though we chose this, we don't know the full script in every moment. We don't know. And some people have had, it's on the surface we say, oh, forgive your parents, forgive those who trespass against you. But sometimes it is, the pain is so deep. And so I liken it that the first thing I'll say and then maybe back into it is, for me, awareness is the door. Like, instead, because we live in a world that is constantly trying to manipulate stuff. We're always manipulating something. And so it makes sense. So I'm going to get out of this pain. I want the strategies. I want to know how, what's steps 1 through 5 but we know some pain runs so deep. And that's why you're asking the question. We don't know the answers. So for me, the first thing is to become aware and embrace the pain. That step right there, because there was things that I hid from. It's the shadow. I don't want to go into the shadow. The shadow scares me. But every time that pain comes up, and we might need to do this, groups like this. Imagine if there was a group like this for children, where children could communicate, right? And I'm sure there are. So I'm not in that space, but I know you mentioned children. But for me, I made a decision. I was going to forgive my father for any transgressions that I thought, he did against me. And they say when you change Wayne Dyer, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So I'm going to give you something really profound for me, my experience. I changed the way I looked at my father. I changed the way I looked at my mother. They changed. I changed the way I looked at my past, and my past changed. How can you change your past? It is what it is. Because when I saw it differently, it changed. It wasn't the trauma. It wasn't the low self-esteem. It wasn't the times you're never going to measure up. It wasn't your life is over. It was every single thing was on purpose for me to be on this call today. And that's not an easy, just like Olga said. She said it takes time. It does and it doesn't. The courage to embrace is the time, because the moment you bring awareness, whatever you pull from the darkness into the light loses its power over you instantly. So that means the pain and the trauma, let me just put it on the table, or in a group, let me just maybe put a little bit of it out there, so I can, because I don't want to pull it all out, but maybe I can begin to look at it. And that's, to me, the gateway to the starting point, if you will. But when you do that, I feel like as long as you continue, it's inevitable that let me say, I'm not going to say forgiveness, right? Because ultimately that's the goal, and I do believe that's possible. But maybe it's like the person make peace. Maybe for someone else, I just make peace with it. For someone else, I forgave them. I'm liberated. I'm free. So it's just different. So I'm going to pause, because that's a deep question. But I think for me, it's awareness, being able to embrace it and look at it.
Thank you.
Winnie?
I miss Melissa's talk, but it's okay. I'm gonna say something about what really um, got me is about the parents. That we don't get to have the parents that we want, but we get to have the parents that we need. I think for me, that is so huge. I've forgiven my parents for so many things, but then I have my moments that sometimes I get triggered. It's as if I have completely forgiven why I do get triggered, like sometimes. And when I heard the quote, kind of like, now it seals everything. It locks in. Um, just one line, it makes me like, okay, this is what the parents I got and I needed.
Yeah.
And I think just accept the
Mm.
true acceptance in and
That's
that goes beyond the embracing, like really accept. So that makes that's making a difference for me at this moment, at this current moment. And so thank you so much for that. I it's a light bulb for me.
give her some love. Give Queens. This is a moment. This is a moment right here. Like you're
Yeah.
watching it right now. This is happening right now. So you feel that? You can all feel that. I don't need to tell you, feel it. Thank you for sharing that. This is beautiful. And I'm just to watch what's going to happen from here is going to be transcendent. Yeah.
Thank you, Queenie, for your share. And we have more. Irene?
Sorry, guys, I can't come on camera. First of all, Austin, thank you so much. Okay?
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much, especially for this, this sentence you had there. We don't get the parents we want, but the parents we needed or we need. For me, being the third child, I think the third child syndrome was on me when I was a kid. I would
Yeah.
complain about everything. And because I want to be like the other children, I want to go and play, I want to do this, myself and my brother. And our dad will always say, you are not other kids. You do this because I said so. And I used to feel, why do we have to do what he says?
Mm.
Just
Yeah.
early in March, I was in Houston to attend to my brother's award ceremony, some award he got from the university where he teaches on this AI. And we were both, because we are the two last ones, we were both talking about our parents and, being grateful that when we were growing up, especially my dad, didn't allow us to be like the other kids. He wanted us to study because when I'm not here, so that you guys can take care of yourself, those kind of things. And we were reminiscing about that.
Yeah.
And we were so grateful. And now you said that statement. I said, oh my goodness, that's what was happening then. The parents we wanted, it's not what God planned for us. The parents we
That's
got,
right.
especially my dad, he was so insistent because we have only one brother. He said, what will you tell people if he didn't like math?
Mm.
So he wasn't strong in math, and my dad will make him, do assignments, extra assignments, and things like that. So I'm so grateful you brought that up, and it just took me back to, March 5th when I was in Texas, and we were just talking about how we are blessed that our parents made us,
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
that.
Thank you for sharing. And I just this is profound, but if you're feeling something and if your parents are not here, send them love anyway.
Yes.
Send them love, even if they're not physically here. Send them love. Just send it to them. No questions asked. Just send it. Yeah.
Let's put some hearts into the chat for our parents.
There you go. That's a good one right there. I'm gonna do this one here. There we go. Yeah.
And I hope our parents can receive that love, wherever it's
Yes.
here on earth or up there, but they can receive our love and they can see it.
How are we doing for time there, Olga?
We have 5 minutes left.
Okay.
And we have
So
Dr. Karen still. So let's
yeah.
one question, Dr. Karen.
Two things that brought up for me. What you said, thank you, Austin, for being here.
Thank you.
That yes, I believe, whatever, our parents are there for a reason and all of that. Like my mom, and some of you people know this because I've said this before in our spiritual group. My dad had a strong wife and 3 strong daughters, and he wasn't that strong.
Mm.
And
Wow.
he ended up being a functional drinker, which my mom, who's more of a stoic control freak, always downplayed his part because he drank, which was a weakness. And so we always looked at him like, not up to standard type of thing. But when I think about my dad, my one father who lived till 90 and worked, hard
Wow.
to support 4 girls, he had
Wow.
who understood him. He had
Wow.
there to, show how to do things that he liked. And he was sensitive like me. So of course he's gonna look for something to
Yeah.
help with this pain. And when
Yeah.
I realized that, we put my mom on a pedestal, and believe me, she's great at many things, and she's still alive at 99. But
Wow.
he that was a lot for him to bring up 3 friggin' girls running all over the country when he lived in the same town his whole life, and
Yeah.
to protect his brood of girls from the world. And he probably had a ton of fears, and we're out gallivanting everywhere, and he doesn't even know what's going on. Like, he did a remarkable job for what his
What,
capacity.
what's his name? What's his name? What was his name?
Lolly.
Michael. So let's give us some love for Michael. Look at you. You're here. I mean, so it all kind of works out when we don't think it's working out, right? So thank you for sharing that. That is beautiful. I just sense he was a powerful man, but very internal. And
And the I wanted to say though about, I said transmute pain.
yeah,
Negative energy is still energy. I learned
yes,
this from my Thai master, with Qigong. Like, you can flip the switch on energy. It's still energy. It's when there's no energy that it's bad.
yes. Very
Don't
good
think
point.
that because it has a negative quality, there's some pain or there's some fear or something or shame, like that it shouldn't be there. We can still utilize that energy, because think of, I mean, not a lot of prisoners get rehabilitated, but if all that anger and some of those criminals, when their heart gets touched, it's amazing. Think of the books that have been written by criminals. Think of the things
Yes,
that people have done when they've been rehabbed, because first
yes,
was that terrible negativity and hate and you know that aspect, but then they got illuminated.
yes,
They can use that energy for something else. So
yes.
you don't have to, if it's negative, it doesn't mean it's all negative. There's still potential in it.
Thank you for that. That's awesome. I mean, and how many of you have gotten angry and gone to the gym, or gotten angry and did a cold plunge, or gotten angry and went and ate some healthy food? I mean, right? So I'm sure you can all relate to that. So that's a great point. Thank you for sharing, Dr.
And I
Karen. Thanks for being here today. Amazing. What an amazing space today. I'm grateful. I'm feeling it.